personal experiences, my research that I've done, and also my training at IIN, and I offer prenatal, postpartum health consults. I do online clean eating programs, and I also do preconception health start and health classes such as this. I support essential oils and Juice Plus Whole Food Nutrition and the Tower Garden as all encompassing to help us get more healthy foods into our body. So with that said, just a little caveat here, I am not a medical professional. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, and I make no claim for specialized training. My talk really today is really intended for informational, education, and self-empowerment purposes only. And I encourage you to consult your doctor or medical team if you want to make changes, and just make sure that you're very well informed in what makes most sense for your and your child's genes and lifestyle. All right, that was a mouthful. All right, so let's get started. So I'm really excited about this topic, development of infant and children, their brain and mental health, because, as an adult, I think about on a daily basis what it takes for me to think clearly, how to navigate the world, and I have the tools and the resources and the experiences to give me those different ways of coping and handling. But our kiddos don't necessarily have that. They're looking to us in order to set that standard, that example, and provide them the right tools. So I want to start off by understanding what childhood mental disorder really means. And this is defined by the CDC. It says, and I quote, "Childhood mental disorder means all mental disorders that can be diagnosed and begin in childhood. Things like attention, ADHD, Tourette syndrome, behavior disorders, mood and anxiety disorders, autism, substance use disorders, and so forth. Mental disorders among children are described as serious changes in the ways children typically learn, behave, or handle their emotions. Symptoms usually start in early childhood, although some of the disorders may develop throughout teenagers and even adulthood." So this is huge and incredibly broad, but when we think about the brain, it really is the master gland of our body. It sends chemical messengers throughout our body, tells our organs how to work, and when that master gland is compromised or maybe not working appropriately or maybe doesn't have all the tools it needs, the impacts can be really widespread in various different ways in our overall body and health. Okay, so here I have included a scan of a toddler's brain, one normal and one they say is deprived. Now again, I am not a scan reader and I'm not a doctor, but as a mom, when I look at this, there is very significant and evident things that are shown to me here. I can see that there's less connection on the one on the right, the deprived one. There's less connections and bigger areas of gaps, the black colored areas. The picture really shows what we can never see when we look into our child's eyes or on their face. We don't see what's going on internally, but we can then receive and understand through their behavior, their action, or maybe their inaction of certain things. So this picture for me was really like 1,000 words. That's what they always say, right? Is a picture is worth 1,000 words. To me, as a mom, this is that depiction. Oh, sorry, I'll go back one more. And from the National Center for Infant, Toddlers, and Families, which is a great resource, 0to3.org, they state a major difference between brain development in a child versus learning in an adult is a matter of degree. The brain is far more impressionable. Neuroscientists use the term plastic in early life than in maturity. The plasticity has both a positive and negative side. On the positive side, it means that young children's brains are more open to learning and enriching influences. On negative side, it also means that young children's brains are more vulnerable to developmental problems should their environment prove especially impoverished or unnurturing. Okay, a couple more statistics just to kind of lay the foundation of what we're going to talk about. It's estimated between about 9% and 14% children age birth to 5 experience emotional or behavioral disturbances, symptoms of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and much more can manifest in infancy and toddlerhood. Some additional information: genes and environment are equally a part of the brain development, but with very different roles. So generally speaking, genes are responsible for the basic wiring, for forming all of the cells, the neurons, and general connections between different brain regions, while experience is responsible for fine-tuning those connections. So the key here is the fine-tuning from my perspective, the emotional and the behavioral piece. That is the environmental factors. And that's the great news, is because us as parents and caregivers, we have that power. We can make that change at any moment in time and enhance our own health or enhance the health of our children when it comes to brain function and cognitive development. So we have that ability, which is so very exciting. So how can we reduce some of those disturbing statistics and that scary looking scan that I put up before? Basically, how do we support our cognitive development? First, I believe that we need to have some general understandings. And if you didn't know, the brain grows the fastest while in the womb, starting at 3 weeks after conception. And as a mom of 3, I don't know about any of you, if any of you are moms out there, but at week 3, I had no idea that I was pregnant. It was usually around week 5 or 6, and in some instances it was longer. So this is just showing the criticality of the need for us expectant moms to be at our healthiest preconception, because then we know that we're setting up ourselves and also our children as best as possible. Then the brain triples in size within the first year of life. And then one of the most vulnerable windows of time for the brain development is really conception to about 2 to 3 years old. There's more plasticity and neurons and pathways that are being formed throughout conception to 3. You know, eating well, taking high quality supplements, and expectant moms that feel supported during pregnancy and postpartum will all have huge impacts on the brain and mental health of baby inside and outside of womb. When we as parents and caregivers take better care of ourselves, the more positive environmental results can occur for our kids. And additionally, we lay the groundwork for future generations, because our DNA will pass to our kids and then will pass to our grandchildren. So we are having a really positive an impact when we do that for ourselves and for our children. So anyone else in the boat that I am? I got an 8 and a 5-year-old, and I didn't know some of the stuff that I know right now. And so I think, oh my gosh, what have I done? I mean, am I going to be able, you know, are my kids okay? And what can I do? Am I beyond that time frame of making some significant changes? Well, I have to say that absolutely, we can always make a positive change, and there will be positive results. So it's never too late, no matter what age we are. But just so you know, the brain's first 3 years lay the groundwork. And the most critical thing within those 3 years is really the visual health of that child. But that brain continues to mature and grow through adolescence, and still can be very significantly influenced. You know, and nutrition is a key to that piece of that, and also connection, I feel, with their caregivers. And so, and then even as adults, we can make changes and implement and consume different things that can help enhance our overall health. As you can see, the study in Australia, they did a study. It said 396 children between ages 6 and 12 were given a drink with omega-3 fatty acids and other nutrients. They showed higher scores on tests measuring verbal intelligence, learning, and memory after 6 months and a year than the control group that did not receive that nutritional that drink. So in a few slides, we're going to get to the simple steps of implementing change to help not only our babies or preconception, but also our older children that will be able to make some simple shifts into their life. Okay, so there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle in my perspective. I don't think, just like with holistic health, I feel like brain and mental health and overall health, there's a lot of different components. So I pulled together a diagram trying to depict the key areas that I feel really have a strong interconnection when it comes to mental health of our children. And you know, when we say this, when we look at this, basically, I think of what came first, kind of the saying, like, you know, what is the first, the chicken or the egg? Well, I think the one thing that we don't want to get caught up is being overwhelmed and thinking, oh my gosh, where do I start? We just need to take that step and start in a small, simple step. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that with this diagram. And we're going to start at the top where we're talking about emotional well-being of mom and dad, and then we're going to move around the diagram. And this is really what I'm talking about here. Emotional well-being of mom and dad and caregiver. Do we feel connected to ourselves, peaceful, balanced, in order to give that same feeling to that child? Are we feeling a lot of anxiety or stress? Believe it or not, kids, whether we realize it or not, they can feel that. They can sense that. And so it does somehow, start impacting them. So the more that we are peaceful and connected and centered in ourselves, the more positive things that will happen within our kids. And we will go through some simple steps on how to get there in a few slides. So let's go clockwise. Gut health of mom and dad. So the gut, or the digestive system, really creates feel-good hormones that houses 80% of our immune system. It creates vitamins. It impacts our DNA, and the list goes on. Plus, when baby is in womb, mom provides good bacteria to baby and also gives baby the initial gut flora, the start of his or her immune system when that baby comes down birth canal. Okay, so next going down, moving farther down, gut health of baby and child. The baby's gut health is very underdeveloped at the time of birth. And as we just talked about, baby will receive those initial amounts of gut flora to start developing that immune system. And then obviously what we put into baby as far as nutrition at that point will help continually build that gut health and that immune system. And again, we're going to touch upon more about that here in the next slides. At the bottom of the diagram, which is mom and dad connection with baby and child. Our species really thrive from connection from the moment that we are conceived. We need nurturing, we need caring, we need food in order to survive and actually to thrive. So not just the right mix of nutrients in our food is a component, but the whole spectrum is a component. Our touch, our skin-to-skin contact with our babies, giving food, the appropriate foods are among some of the key components that baby will need, and also the adult. Babies will tend to thrive mentally and physically if we as caregivers respond to their cries, their cues, and their needs. And for example, I just wanted to bring up a study and some information showing that if letting a baby cry it out actually causes long-term physical and mental impacts. And there's a lot of information out there, but I just wanted to read one piece that I thought was very powerful. Dr. Alan Shore of UCLA School of Medicine demonstrated that the stress storm hormone, cortisol, which floods the brain during intense crying and stressful events, actually destroys nerves connections in critical portions of an infant's developing brain. In addition, when the portions of the brain responsible for attachment and emotional control are not stimulated during infancy, as may occur when a baby is repeatedly neglected, these sections of the brain will not develop. The result, a violent, impulsive, emotionally unattached child. He concludes that the sensitivity and responsiveness of a parent stimulates and shapes the nerve connections in key sections of the brain responsible for attachment and emotional well-being. And so I found this on AskDrSears.com. He has a bunch of different research findings. So if you wanted to look at that more, that is another website that you can leverage and look at. So let's move up to the last one on the left side of the diagram, the last category of nutrition. Food can impact our mood, whether or not our digestive system is healthy and working appropriately or not. Our body was designed to consume whole foods in a wide variety for energy, development, growth, mental health. I know that personally when I eat too much sugar or I have something that doesn't work well in my body, I tend to feel more depleted. I actually feel tired, and sometimes I even get cranky. And so I know that I need to be aware of what foods make me feel more energetic and more emotionally and mentally healthy so that I can then give that and be my best for my family. So that was a lot of information in one spot, and it was a little bit of just a little bit of a general overview of every area. So I hope that you took at least one piece of information from that because it is an interconnected cycle. And now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about the next steps, which is deeper. What are we going to focus on, and some simple solutions in order to support our mental health in our kiddos. So key areas: healthy fats, gut health, and positive connection. Healthy fats, I'm going to start off with that one. So why do we want healthy fats? Our brains are approximately 60% fat. Therefore, consuming fat is an essential component for it to function appropriately. What are healthy fats? So healthy fats cannot be made by our body. We need to consume them in order to get them into our body. Fats slow down absorption to reduce the feeling of hunger. They help absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, also needed for the conversion of carotene to vitamin A. They help us absorb our minerals like our calcium and things of that nature. They develop baby's organs and brain and womb. They support hormonal health, stabilize blood sugar levels, which as a result can help with supporting weight, mood, and overall our overall emotional feeling. And they also do a lot of other biological processes. So I always recommend staying away from trans fats, obviously, because they're man-made and they can do harm. There are many categories of fats. So there's saturated, polyunsaturated, monounsaturated. Some of these get more negative rap than others. And but we need to make sure that we're navigating them appropriately. So in my opinion, we need all of those, but not all fats not all of foods within those categories are created the same. So I'm going to have us look at some examples. So here's what I consider healthy fat options: hemp hearts, chia seeds, grass-fed meats, pasture-raised eggs, wild-caught fish, avocados, coconut oil, fish oil, flaxseed oil, olive oil, nuts, seeds, flax seeds, and spirulina. Okay, so the next few slides are going to really highlight other specific healthy fats, such as omega-3s and DHA, and their impact on our kids' and infants' health. So DHA is a polyunsaturated omega-1 fatty acid. It is the major structural fat in the brain and retina, accounting up for 97% of the omega-3s in the brain and 93% of the omega-3s in the retina. Omega-3 is a polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fatty acids. They can be found predominantly in nuts and seeds, and some of the benefits include anti-inflammatory properties and it's supporting brain health. So research shows that infants who have low amounts of DHA in their diet have reduced brain development and diminished visual acuity. Increased intelligence and academic performance of breastfed compared to formula-fed infants has been attributed in part to increased DHA content of human milk. Cultures whose diet is high in omega-3 fatty acids, like Eskimos who eat a lot of fish, have a lower incidence of degenerative disease in the central nervous system. Experimental animals whose diets are low in DHA have been found to have smaller brains and delayed central nervous system development. Some children with poor school performance because of ADD have been shown to have insufficient essential fatty acids in their diet. Additionally, omega-3s and healthy fats can support a more stable blood sugar level, which results in a more stabilized mood. For me, I know that when I'm eating healthier with the omega-3s and DHA, I feel more grounded emotionally, and I'm able to obviously then meet the emotional needs of my children at that point. If you're breastfeeding like I am, breast milk will contain the right ratios of fat required for a baby to develop and grow, which I absolutely love. Like no matter what we're eating, it's going to have the right ratio because our bodies are so infinitely wisdom. But what we as moms have the ability to do is we can influence the amount of omega-3s in our breast milk. So when we consume more of that healthy fat going into more of those fats going into our baby will be consisting of omega-3s. So we still have that power to make those changes. All right, let's look at the brain and gut connection, the digestive health. So knowing that the healthy fats are a critical nutrient and a component to mental health and brain development, it's imperative that the place where we digest our food and our healthy fats and our supplements is working well so that the nutrients get into our bloodstream very entirely and efficiently. So on top of that, our digestive system has even more significant impact on brain and mental health that many may realize. For example, our gut is full of bacteria. We need both good and bad bacteria to thrive. About a ratio of 85 to 15, good to bad bacteria is needed. And just like in nature, there always needs to be balance. Everything needs to stay in check. Gut flora produces vitamins in our body, supports a healthy digestion, removes toxins, and a host of other vital functions. So let's look at some facts around that. There's multiple neurochemical and neurometabolic pathways between the central nervous system, the brain, and the digestive tract that send signals to each other, affecting our memory, thought patterns, and reasoning. Good bacteria is known as genetic footprints. They help determine our DNA. Nutrient deficiencies cause inflammation and oxidative stress, which is just a fancy word for free radical damage, which affect neurotransmitters, dopamine, I'm not going to even try to say the next one, and serotonin, which are three neurotransmitters that are made in the gut. 90% of them are made, 90% of the serotonin is made in our gut. And these control our mood, they ease tension, and they raise alertness. Gut and mood, brain health is a two-way street. Poor gut health contributes to mood problems. High amounts of stress almost damage your gut and your hormonal balance. Our bodies are interconnected, and everything we put in them, expose them to, or do to them affects the whole person, including their growth, development, and mental capacity and capabilities. ADHD and other learning disabilities have been tied to poor gut health, especially in infants and children. So gut health is what I believe to be one of the key indicators and foundations of our overall health. So for you that are possible, for those of you that are parents or caregivers of really small children, or maybe had small children, you remember the time when we would use their digestive system as basically their foundation of health. We would check their diapers. How many wets do they have? How many dirties do they have? What color is their dirty? All of that stuff. We're very, very in tune as of the first day of birth. And that was our alertness to say something might not be right if they were not producing dirties or wets. And so we lose that at some point when the child starts going to the potty by themselves, or at some point in that early childhood perspective. What I encourage you to do is to bring back to the basics. Ask your kids if they're going to school, if they are going, right? Be more aware of what's happening in your body, because that is an indicator of how your immune system's working, how toxins are being removed or not being removed from your body. And all of those interconnected pieces really impact our brain and mental capacity and health. And so I encourage you to bring those back. The most times that we think about it is when our child comes to us and says they have a tummy ache, or maybe when we're feeling bloated after we eat something, and that's when it kind of brings up that thought in our head. But I encourage you to do that on a regular basis because it is a good foundation of health. So how does good digestive health, gut health really look like? And here I've pulled out some key indicators that I felt were good. The first one, for example, is regularity. This you should be doing, having been regular 3 times a day, once after every big meal. But I know that's a huge stretch for people because a lot of people are not experiencing that. So I always have an indicator of once a day is moving up the scale and doing better. So maybe even trying to set a goal as once a day. Having no bloating or stomach pain after eating. So that can be a sign that the food is not working well in your body. It's hard to digest. Pulling it out of your diet and then reintroducing it may be a way of seeing if maybe a certain food doesn't work well in your body. Having clarity or even normal energy. So checking your child and saying, after they ate something, are they potentially falling asleep afterwards or getting really lethargic and tired, or are they bouncing off the walls? Those two ends of the spectrum, there might be something going on with that food that is causing them issues. So just being aware of that, that's an indicator of maybe that food not working so well in their body. And then again, the strong immune system. 80% of our immune system resides in our digestive tract. Okay, so I've talked about healthy fats, gut health, and now the emotional connection, which I think is so critical too. Our thoughts, feelings, emotions also drive our health and well-being. When we have chronic stress or anxiety, it can wreak havoc on our digestion, slows our digestion, compromises nutrient absorption. And at the same time, food can directly impact how we feel. Sugar will bring us up for a short period of time, but then quickly leave us feeling depleted, tired, and over time, some people can actually feel depressed if they are not having the right balances of food. So when we feel more peaceful, connected to ourselves, and we eat well, caregivers and mothers, it is easier for us to connect with our babies. There is more synapses or connections within the brain created in the baby when they're feeling connected to mom, dad, caregivers. There is obviously a food and mood impact, as we talked about. And then also, again, the gut makes 90% of the serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone. So let's pull all this information together, these pieces of the puzzle, and I'm going to have the next section of really being how do we do this? How do we make those simple steps into getting that good, healthy food connection with ourselves and with our kids? How do we start implementing some of that to help our overall health? The first thing is very general: eat well, consume more whole foods than not. And the second one is connecting with yourself by doing a various different simple steps that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. So what does eating well look like? Well, for me, this is what I've pulled the things together in a couple of different buckets, what I consider my food fundamentals. And what's great about this is no matter what dietary theory you practice or you resonate with most, whether it's vegan, vegetarian, paleo, whatever that is, each one of them can plug right into one of these categories. So for instance, healthy proteins, plant-based ideas, things like chia seeds, edamame, nuts, seeds, quinoa, hemp hearts, coconut milk yogurt, sprouts, hummus, lentils and beans, spirulina. That's just some ideas. Other ideas from an animal-based perspective: grass-fed beef, pasture-raised poultry, wild-caught fish, plain Greek yogurt, pasture-raised eggs. Next, healthy fats: avocado, coconut oil, almonds, cashews, walnuts, seeds, chia seeds. You see the pattern here. There's almost a lot of repeat, right? And the beautiful thing about this is you're getting 2 for 1 with a lot of these. So you're going to get your healthy fats and your healthy proteins. And if you see my depiction here, I'm really focusing on grass-fed meat, pasture-raised eggs, and grass-fed, pasture-raised poultry and wild-caught fish. And that's because that's where the omega-3s are coming from. So the wild-caught fish are eating the seaweed, and that's where that omega-3 is coming from. The cows, the chickens, they're getting their omega-3s from the grass, the plants. So it's the source of where they're going is going to funnel up into the chain. So if they're a corn-fed cow, you're going to get more omega-6s, which causes more inflammation. So it's very important to look at what's the source of the food of the animal that you're eating. Healthy fats, another way to get in more healthy fats to help with more therapeutic type of assistance, or maybe you don't have a lot of time to get in a lot of these other foods, is looking to high quality supplements like flaxseed oil or fish oil. I just recommend when you do it, you look at the brands because there are some that are higher quality than others. Always look for the ones in the fish oil that pull out the mercury. Because that obviously mercury can get attached to the brain and become accumulative, and that can cause issues too. All right, fruits and vegetables is the next category. So fruits and vegetables include thousands of phytonutrients, and what I mean by that is really there's trace minerals, there's fiber, there's vitamins, there's enzymes, and much more. They help remove toxins, they protect your DNA, they reduce inflammation, protect against disease, reduce oxidative stress. And the brain is very, very sensitive to oxidative stress. So we always want to pull that out. FDA recommends consuming a wide variety of 7 to 13 each day for sedentary people, more for active folks. Another great way to get in fruits and vegetables is by making smoothies. I know my kids love smoothies, and you can do a great thing with smoothies. You can add your protein, you can add your healthy fats and your fruits and vegetables, and you've got it all in one. So it's a great simple way, and you can freeze them, make them like ice cream, and just change them up in different flavors and different colors for your kids. And the last thing is for fruits and vegetables. Again, if you're having problems getting in the 7 to 13, there are times when I have problems getting those into my kids because they can be particular in what they eat. I work with a high quality whole food nutrition supplement, and in order to get in more fruits and vegetables. And the one that I use is Juice Plus, and there's a lot out there, so just be aware of, again, the quality of the produce that is put in there. Next is probiotics fermented foods. I added this one in because this is great for gut health. Fermentation is a process in which a substance breaks down into a simpler substance, and basically bacteria and yeast come out, but we get the good bacteria, and then it goes into our digestive tract in order to help support good digestive health. So there's lots of different drinks and foods and even supplements that you can get probiotics in. So drinks like kombucha, milk kefirs, water kefirs, foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, high quality supplements. I always recommend when you look for a child's supplement, make sure it has 1 to 5 billion CFUs. It's the dosage amount, how they measure it. Adults 50 plus. It just gives you different, wider variety of probiotics for your body. And the last one is hydration, obviously. Quality water. You can make a homemade Gatorade, chia seed drink, coconut water. All those things really fuel your body for eating well. So as you can see, when we eat well, then we can get in healthy fats for the brain health, antioxidants that reduce inflammation, which the brain is susceptible to, and all the other categories promote healthy cells and digestive system. And so eating well stabilizes our blood sugar levels, which then impacts our overall mood, energy level, improves focus, much more connection, and just overall feeling better in order to give our best as a caregiver to our kids. And then our kids, when they are starting to consume these things, they again will also reap those huge benefits, because like we talked about in the beginning, between age conception and age 3, there's a lot of plasticity in that brain. So it's very influenced. So nutrition is a real big key in influencing it in a positive way. Okay, connecting to self. So as caregivers, our own well-being is very critical. And so because we take care of each other, so we take care of others, we need to take care of ourselves first. Some simple ways to support and promote centeredness, more peace and joy is just to take a few minutes and focus upon ourselves right now and the good in our life, instead of maybe worrying about what's to come. So some simple ways that I use in my own life is I do deep breathing, gratitude journal, meditation, and yoga. For the deep breathing, you can do a simple 16-second practice. Basically, you do a sequence of breathing in for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, you go out for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds. And if you repeat that 5 times, studies have shown that your blood pressure will start to come down. This is a great thing also to model for kids, very, very young kids. So in the mornings before school, and even, you can do it even younger, before school age, here at the house, we sit down for literally probably less than a minute, and we do some deep breathing to hopefully center the kids, to calm them down, get them focused, and just, try to start their day off correctly. And then I get the benefit too as their mom, because I get to get in my own deep breathing exercise with them. Gratitude journal, again, that's just focusing on the positive in order to then, it tends to help perpetuate more positive in our life. Meditation. Meditation is a great way to clear our mind, connect with ourselves, and just to calm ourselves. Even if you can only do 5 minutes a day, there is a lot of benefit. And, if you're challenged on time and how are you going to fit it in, some ways to do that, again, is have your kids do it along with you, or maybe hand off your kids to your significant other if possible, maybe just for 5 or 10 minutes. Since I have a 7-month-old that I am nursing right now, I tend to do it while I'm nursing her. So I kind of get 2 for 1. So I am able to, fulfill her needs and then also focus on myself. And yoga is also another great practice in order to connect with yourself. So those are some definite ideas of that piece. So in summary, I'm bringing you back full circle, literally, to this diagram. And, you know, from my perspective, a holistic approach is really the key to strong cognitive and mental health in our infants and our children. It goes back to us parents and caregivers taking care of ourselves. When we are connected and healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally, it directly impacts the health, mental health of our children in a positive way. We have more energy, more patience, and in order to meet their needs, in order to help get the nutrition they need into their body, to really connect with them and have those early years be laying the great foundation for the future of their teen and also their adulthood years. So I hope each of you listening, you know, took away at least one new thing or an idea or a perspective or maybe even a simple step to try. I'm going to open it up now for questions. Please know that if I don't know the answer to your question, I can research it and message you privately. Or if it's an area that I am not an explicit expert on, I will definitely find somebody I can refer you to. So does anybody on the line have any questions?
I have a quick question, Melanie. So if we know, like moms or caregivers of infants and kids who maybe need some more education about this, does your website have like handouts that we could use for moms and kids, or would they contact you?
I do have handouts, physical handouts, but always welcome to share my website. It does not provide, you know, it provides like my events and it provides a high level overview of some of the consults that I do, but I really customize. So I always like to have folks connect with me so that I can understand their goals and their challenges so that I can, you know, support them individualistically.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anything else I can support folks with, or anybody looking for some simple ways to get in other kinds of healthy meals? Or you're also welcome. I have a Facebook page, Food, the number 4 Thought, that you could like if you want. I do a lot of ideas, recipes there, tips and tricks, health information. I do a lot of blogging also on my website, and also for a local midwifery group that I post out on Facebook and social media, whether it be there or Twitter or Instagram. So there's lots of different ways that you can connect, and in addition to getting more ideas, more different recipes, more ways to implement you know, healthy fats into your and your children's diets. Okay.
Okay, so if nobody has any other questions for Melanie, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. It's nice to be able to think about the holistic and, you know, looking at our clients or the people that we're working with, and even our own health from this type of perspective, instead of just focusing on whatever it is that we, you know, professionally do on our own. Does anybody have any questions about the association for me while we're all on the line? Okay, I'm going to put a recording of this webinar on the website for the association's website, and then Melanie will also have a copy of the recording so that you can use on your website or through Facebook or however you would like to use it. So if you have people to who you think would benefit from it, you can refer them on to watching that on their own.
I just want to thank everybody for participating and being a part of this. And again, thank you, Megan, for having me.
Yep. Okay, thanks, and we'll chat later.